Hi, welcome to this week's episode of Forgiving the Girl Inside. I'm your hostess, Lisa Drennan, and I have the lovely Gina DeAngelis with us. And I hope I said that right.
Yeah.
I'm a little
You're good.
tongue-tied right now. But this week, Gina is going to be sharing her healing journey from overwhelmed to being in control. She is a beautiful wife, mom, and an absolutely talented graphic artist design. If you look at my logo, this is the woman who designed it. So if you are new to the channel, this is your first time, be sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified. Each week, I bring a guest on to share her healing journey. So Forgiving the Girl Inside is a healing journey from the way we were to the way we are. And the reason why it's a journey is because it's a daily choice. We didn't just snap our fingers and all of a sudden be healed. We have to work at it every single day. So thank you so much, Gina, for being here and sharing your journey with us. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. So I am a mom of four very active kids. We are a homeschool family right now. Traditional homeschool kind of happened through the whole past year's circumstance, we'll call it. So we're doing that. I am a serial business starter. We'll say I've done tons of MLMs in the past and I absolutely love them. So I do run my own health and wellness business with Young Living. And now I'm doing my own coaching slash branding consulting, I guess we'll call it. So we
Yeah.
are, yeah, we're a very busy family, but it's been fun.
Yeah. And I love your talent. I can't brag enough about it. And you know,
Well,
I'm
thank
always
you.
sharing your that
You
fabulous
too.
design and referring and everything. And yeah, MLMs. I love the current MLM opportunity. We have 1B7. You're part of that, right?
Yes, I'm going. Yep,
Yeah.
going down the hole,
Yeah.
going down that rabbit hole.
We have to put a plug into that. So if you want to know more about 1B7, connect with either one of us. It's a fantastic, epic opportunity. We've linked arms with the ULA guys to reach 1 billion people in 7 years to live life differently, to live life balanced in 7 key areas. So if you follow either one of us, our links are going to be in the description. Connect with us and we will get you into that. And it's like I said, I can go on for hours about it, but this is about Gina today. So
No, you're
tell us
fine.
about your healing journey. You have all these kids, you were knee deep and going crazy, not taking any me time, self-sabotage kind of set in, you're probably pulling your hair out. So what was that? What was life like before you found your modality to help you live life
Um,
balanced?
so back almost 5 years ago to this month, I was okay. So I wasn't pregnant yet with my fourth, but very soon after this started, I got pregnant with our fourth. But I was a mom of three, and my two youngest boys were not sleeping, so I just needed something to kind of help that, and that's what kind of drew the door open to Young Living, and that was like okay, it was like a promise to get me some sleep. And I swear it was like the sneaky door. It was like, we're going to open this door and pull her in. And then from there, it just kind of has snowballed into so many other things. So it was kind of using the products and supporting my family in this really thick season of motherhood with two toddlers. Then shortly after, we were pregnant with our fourth. He was a very pleasant surprise. So it was so much. I was just in this thick of just, it was like Groundhog's Day. Like you got up, you did the things, you went to bed, you got up and did them again. And I love my kids to death, but it wasn't a healthy period. It was just a very overwhelmed, very surviving the day kind of thing. And I wasn't living in the present. So Young Living kind of was able to shift things in a lot of ways. And then I started going down the rabbit hole of the business side, and I'm a serial MLM person. I sign up for all the MLM businesses in the past. But this one, I just saw something so different. The opportunity just seemed so different than what I was used to. And I love that it was more based on the people than the product. And community is like, I love community. So I was like, okay, I'll try this. And then once you kind of get into a community of like-minded people who are more focused on their health, what they're putting in their bodies, on their bodies, who they're surrounding themselves with, it was just like you couldn't get away from it. So that's when I started really using my business as an excuse to do something for myself. So I didn't feel guilty about it because I was making some money. I didn't feel guilty about, having like little events at my house and putting in that time, because again, it was with friends and I was seeing them being supported. And again, and then I was making some income, enough income to kind of stop the business I was currently doing at that time. And that was very overwhelming. So that business was taking me into, like, I had these little babies, I was pregnant, and I would work till like 2, 3 a.m. making a bunch of like birthday outfits and all different things. So once I started that journey, I started unintentionally starting like a personal growth journey. And then that led me to my first Create retreat that Jill Oncall runs. And from there, it was just like everything started exploding. All the things I was becoming aware of, like my parenting style, like my relationships, like where that was at, my business and why it wasn't working, like all these things started sifting to the top. And I was really starting to become aware of a common denominator, was that not that it was me, I wasn't the problem, but it was that if I wanted things to change, it needed to start with me, because nobody else was going to do it. So that was what really kind of got this journey rolling fast.
Yeah, and it's so funny that you said that, because people always think that they can change everything around them, but until you start with yourself and how you respond and how you process things, that's when you start to see transformation. And then people notice it and they are like, wow, what's going on? You're doing things differently, and we're not having the same conversation. So those fights and all of that. What was the main, you talked about like the different relationships, you went to this retreat. And then, so they give you like a modality, like what was the tools that you used to help you, manage and juggle all of the things?
So the biggest thing, I think that one of the biggest things was having the community support, because while you have like your good friends, if your normal circle of people is okay where they're at, and not that anything's wrong with it, their lives could be going swell if yours doesn't have to be, but to have a community of women that wanted to see you grow, and that didn't give you that excuse of like, it's okay, it's not you, and having those women push you like a little closer to the edge, that was really, really helpful for me. And it was, if I didn't have that community within Young Living, I don't think it would have ever happened, because again, my everyday circle, you're not in the same mindset, so to say. So
Right.
at the retreat, there was lots of things that they talked about. They talked about your inner circle. They talked about, like some business tools and different things. But there was a quote that one of the leaders at the retreat had said, and that was what kind of made me start looking inward. And she had said that or expectations are resentment waiting to happen. And that was literally like one of the punches in the gut that was like, you have to stop trying to control everything, fixing everyone, and you need to start looking at yourself and stop blaming everybody else. So there was like a ton of forgiveness that needed to happen for myself and, just the people that we were surrounded with from birth through to current times. And that's what just I started to do. So it was just really trying to bring awareness as to what was triggering me. And once I started realizing the triggers, then I was able to start dealing with them in different healthy ways.
Yeah. How did you recognize the triggers? And what were some of the
I started
triggers?
looking for common themes. So in my own home, it would be, I started noticing that, like, even after my fourth one came, things really got like, you're like, oh, I can handle one more. Once you have 3, it's no big deal. But that was not the case. In hindsight, I'm like, wow, I was really thrown for a loop after that one. So I just started looking at things of, what is the common thing that I keep seeing? And it was how I was reacting to situations. So I was taking Brandon Barber's coaching, and they started teaching us that, like, just bring some awareness to what you're going through about your day. Like, what is distracting you from doing the things that you want to be doing? What, like, what are the little things that you notice that you kind of go off the deep end? And for me, it was like, if my kids were loud or my kids were not doing what I wanted them to do, then I felt like no one's listening to me, no one cares about me. You guys are just being difficult.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that, like, I noticed that in my relationship, I noticed it in the way I was parenting, and even in my business, I was noticing it. It was just, it was what I wanted people to do. And if they weren't meeting that expectation, then that's when the resentment came in. So I really just, as I was going through my day, I really had to work hard to just be like, okay, I just got in a fight with my daughter. What caused that fight, and what did I feel behind that? Because
Mm-hmm.
it probably is something, a repeating pattern. And that's when I started to
Right.
realize that it wasn't really my kids or my significant other or my business. It was it was me being caught in like this thought storm. So I just
I love that phrase, thought storm, because that's
Mhm.
exactly what happens. Our stinking thinking gets in our way, and then before you know it, we're like got this turmoil brewing inside of us, and then the emotions and then you just want to scream it out. And
Mhm.
I
And
remember when my
yeah.
kids were younger, I would scream a lot, and
Mhm.
and I reflect back as my oldest is going to be 35 next month, and I think about I thanked him for teaching me how to be a mom
Yeah.
because it didn't do it really well. And then as my youngest is 23 and it gets better, but still sometimes like when the stress comes, it's really a challenge to take those thoughts and channel them, especially when you have a lot of negativity coming from the other family members. Like I have
Mhm.
some negative family members in my home. They just think negative thoughts.
Right.
And
Yeah.
what would be a great suggestion for somebody like, so being a mom, being the hub, I always think of moms as the hub of the
Mhm.
family. Dads play an important part, but moms, it seems like the kids always draw, they're a magnet to their moms and,
Mhm.
mom, this, mom, that, especially when they're sick, they need things.
Yeah.
So in that dynamic, what kind of advice would you give to moms out there who are struggling with these emotions and they have that negative voices coming in over here and the kids are demanding their time and they're just like, oh, I just need something
Mhm.
to help me. What kind of advice would you give them?
The biggest thing I think for me was knowing why I wanted to change, and that it wasn't, while it was all about me, like it's not all about you. And it's like so funny, right? But that's what it was. And I knew why I wanted my children to change, so that they didn't have to kind of recover as a in their adulthood from things that I may have caused in their childhood. So it was
Mhm.
really getting clear with why I wanted my life to look different. And then once you kind of hit that, it's just like every mom wants to be the best that they can possibly be and give their kids the best. So once you hit that, it like hits that mama heart, and then you're just like,
Yeah.
either I have to stop being selfish and worrying about my own kind of crazy going on, or I need to pull myself together so that I'm a healthier human being, so that I can provide them a healthier environment. So that was a
Yeah,
big thing for me.
absolutely.
Another thing I think would be really utilizing your resources. And I find this, like I tell people all the time, like you just have to be resourceful to survive in life and business. And while it's nice to have friends that you can have solidarity with and you can complain to when things are just, you're just like, oh my gosh, it was a bad day, this happened and this happened. But I think it's finding people who have a skill or who have something of value that will help you get to a better position. So it's like, for me, I started, like, even recently in the past couple of months, was reaching out to friends who were homeschool moms, reaching out to friends who were teachers, because now I'm this homeschooled mom. That was a big difference. And I could have went and complained to my friends who were going to be like, no, like it's okay, it's overwhelming, don't worry about it, like they're rough, these kids are crazy. But I didn't want to be stuck in that type of mindset. So it was like, okay, how do I still try to be able to deal with all I'm dealing, but have someone who has another skill and tool that they can teach me that I could put in my tool belt. And that's really what I
Yeah.
started to.
I love that. To continuously be teachable,
Yeah.
coachable, because we're always learning and growing.
Yeah.
So now that you have this modality in place, what was the big shift that you saw in your family and your own personal life?
At first in my family and personal life, I saw a lot of resistance because it was new and they weren't used to my reactions changing or the boundaries being set. And not even that the boundary was being set, but they were being, it was like I was firm on them this time. I wasn't just shooting out things like, this is my boundary and this what needs to change, but I had a way to make sure that it stayed there and that boundary stayed in place. So there was a lot of resistance from the teenager, go figure. And even my younger boys, they, you know, it was a little bit more lashing out, a little bit more of temper tantrums, that kind of stuff. And the same in my relationship. It was, you know, all of a sudden we're not good enough, or we're not doing things right, or, you know, you're changing too much. And I think that's when you really get tested. And it's like, are you going to keep pushing forward when it gets really hard? Because it's like, I always try to say it's like an arrow, like the tension on that, like pulling back on that string when you're pulling that arrow back is so tight that it feels like it's going to snap. But if you just like keep your eye on the target, at some point it breaks. And once you release that tension, like everything just flies forward, and it's like, that's it, like you win the game. So that's what we're in that period now where we're finally coming into, they're seeing that while I might not like it because it's different, I think she might be onto something here.
I love that visual too. Just, you know, keeping your eye on the target and not being distracted. Like I like to say tunnel vision, like when you stay focused on that one thing. And it's the same concept with the target, with the bow and arrow, and just looking at the bullseye, and that's what you want to shoot for. Yeah, that's beautiful. Absolutely. So tell us some more about your coaching business.
Okay, so my coaching business kind of, I say my coaching business, it's like a blend of many things, but I don't like to just say that it's brand consulting, because a big part of your brand is who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And it's not just pretty colors and fonts and stuff. So a lot of people think, oh, well, I want to create a business, so I need a business card, I need a logo. And you can have all those things. It's easy to create something pretty, but if you really want your business to work, you want to build your whole business brand, your own personal brand. So while I'm kind of working with people to build their logos, a lot of times it goes a little bit backwards, and it's like, okay, well, who's your market? Or, you know, just who are you trying to attract? What is your purpose? So I do a little bit of the business coaching with the brand consulting is kind of how I'm mixing the two. And I've actually had another business before I started my Young Living business. And that's when I was doing like graphic designs for shirts, and I was making birthday outfits. So that's when I really started dabbling into my design skills. So it's funny how you pick up a skill before you even see where it's going to take you, or how it's going, you know, how the course is going to change, but it's been fun. So
yeah. And you have a knack to be able to help people design graphics or design the logo in accordance to their identity. So it is really beautiful. And I just love the way your mind works, and you're able to connect that with people and just really speak to their hearts, and then produce it in a graphic. Because I know I can't do that. You know, like I tried for hours and hours and hours. It's just like, okay, I don't even know what I want.
Right.
So to be able to put that all together.
I almost feel it sometimes, like, you know, sometimes people even say like, I want this. And then once we really start working, and if they're flexible, then I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't feel right. Like, this doesn't feel like you. So once I get to know them a little bit more, then it all just starts coming together. And then it's exciting because then you're really working with a person and not just some picture on a page.
Yeah. So did you do one-to-one consults then, or do you do group coaching for that?
So I'm branching out now to do kind of like business tips and tricks for the online entrepreneur. So teaching them a little bit about how to utilize the resources, things like Canva. I know when you're kind of building your business from the ground up, you don't have the money to go out there and outsource everything. So in my business, when I was growing, I just did everything on my own, and I just had to figure it out. So, you know, I utilized apps and I utilized different programs. So I'm going to try to be teaching people that, like how to put together some color palettes, how to make some graphics for social media so that you have some marketing images that you can bring to the table before you can really pay for someone to do it. And then I do the brand consulting one-on-one pretty much right now. So it's like a mini little consultation. This way I can get to know the person, get a feel of what their business really is, and like the heart of it. And then if some people, I think they start backwards. They think you have to start at the logo. So some people I'm like, you're not ready for the logo yet. Like, we got to go a little bit back, and we got to figure out what your business really is. And then some people are ready to just like, they're ready to get out there and launch and put their brand out there. And then it's okay, now let's bring everything that you worked on and put it in a very cohesive visual kind of design. So it just
Yeah.
depends on where they're at in their journey.
I love that you said that some people aren't ready for the logo, because you really do need the brand. You need to know who your target audience is and what the message is you're delivering, because I've seen a lot of logos that have nothing to do with what the person is doing. And I'm like, okay. And you know,
Right.
we do use it as part of our identity.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much for being here and sharing all of the good things that you're doing. I absolutely love it. And you know, I'll be referring more people your way. And
Thank you for believing in me.
thank you again. Yeah. So anyone who's listening, if you need a brand coach, Gina's your girl. Her links are going to be in the description. And if you know anybody who would like to connect with her, please share the video. And thank you so much. And stay tuned for the next video that we have. Have an amazing day.
Thank you.